Come on.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned into the Check Engine Podcast. We are streamed worldwide on all the platforms that you use to listen to your favorites. Nick, Andrew, and Tristan are here. Gentlemen, is this week kicking your ass too?
I mean, well, it's not that bad. It could be worse. It sounds like it's kicking your ass more than mine, for instance.
Well, I'm happy for you that your ass is not as
wow,
kicked
that
as
was
mine
salty.
is.
That was salty right there.
Oh,
I don't like that.
Yeah, happy for you.
Wow. Congrats. Wow.
You're making it through this week. Good job, Andrew.
Well, I mean, to jump right into it, I mean, you've had quite the week already. I mean, we know we're recording a little later because you were out doing the work of the hero, right? You were saving your wife, your lovely wife.
Well, I wish I could say so, but it didn't turn out that way.
Oh,
Whoa!
Gather round, kids. Story time.
he didn't save her.
No, unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be there. But yeah, gather round, kids. It's story time.
It's not getting better.
So
The tone is just
I know.
defeated.
Well, okay. Let
it's been a week.
happen.
Okay, it's so normally, folks, we record at least since we've kind of come back to a semi-regular every 2-week cadence here for this year. It's been Monday nights. Has just kind of been the thing. So a little bit of context. My wife and I are prepping my condo to be put on the market. So
Woo.
there's a lot of cleaning and minor repairs to things that we had, neglected that we can't neglect anymore, and all that kind of stuff, just to make it like we had the photos taken today so we can get ready to list. So like all that kind of stuff is happening. So on Monday, I'm driving home from work. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get home. I'm gonna do these couple quick little projects here, and then we'll hop on the podcast and we'll have a good time. So I throw my stuff down. I put my phone on like my coffee table in the living room, but then I go into the bedrooms because I had to spackle and paint over some nail holes. So I
Sure.
didn't have my phone on me. So I finished that. It didn't take too long, like 15, 20 minutes, putting the paint cans away. And I look and there's messages from Claire on the phone. And there's also a missed call.
Ooh.
So I missed the call. And then I pull up the text messages, and it says, I have a flat tire. I'm on the frontage road. The frontage road.
Yeah, the one. Yep.
That one.
Oh yeah, that one. Yep.
Waiting for AAA. So I don't know how long she had been sitting there before I finally called her back. So I called her. I'm like, hey, what's going on? She's like, I ran over something, and it's not a blowout. It just deflated really, really quickly. And I got off to the frontage road, and I'm just waiting for AAA here. And I said, well, what frontage road? Like, where are you? Like, what town? Like, how close to home are you? And she's like, I'm down in Caledonia still.
Wow.
Just like an hour away.
Yeah, that's
like,
okay.
Not close.
which is when I got on our thread and said, guys, this isn't happening tonight. So I said, well, I'm sorry. I just explained to her what I explained to you and to the listeners about me doing a project. Phone was in the other room. I'm like, how close is AAA? Like, is it even worth me getting in the truck and driving an hour? And she's like, according to the app, they'll be here in 4 minutes. I'm like,
Hey.
so
Oh, pretty good.
that's 54 faster than I will get there. So why don't you let them handle it? But Claire has a set of summer tires with different rims. So I said, how about this? I don't have a jack at my garage, but like Claire, when you get patched up, when you get the spare on, the little donut or whatever they're going to do, meet me at my parents and I'll load up the your summer tires and I'll meet you at my parents and we'll just put the new set of tires on so we don't have to worry about like one new tire or buying a new donut or all that kind of shit right now because we don't need that right now when we're in the middle of a move. She said, hey, good plan. I'm like, call me when you're about a half hour away so I can load the tires up and I'll meet you there. So she texts me when she's about 8 minutes away. So she beats, so like we get there at the exact same time because I'm hustling. And we get it all set up. I jack the car up. I take the first tire off. I go to put the first summer tire on, and it's a special aftermarket rim that's on these tires. And the machined hole to put the lug nut in, my impact gun and the socket won't fit in there. We need like a longer lug nut, which we don't have. So
okay, well, I mean,
Yeah, sounds about right.
it's like, of course we don't have those.
Okay.
I don't know where they went when we took these tires off. I don't know.
Well, wouldn't it be basically a longer, adapter for the summer lugs?
So the actual machined out hole in the rim where the lug nut goes into is too narrow for the socket itself. So it doesn't matter if the adapter or if it's a deep well socket because the socket won't fit in there.
Right, I know. I'm just picturing like the socket for my winter tires is probably like 2.5 inches, right? The one that's meant for the actual wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if it's that kind of an issue. It's just an adapter for because they're whatever they're called, the anti-tamper, blah 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 bullshit that doesn't really help.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is it that kind of thing?
It could be that kind of thing, but we couldn't find anything. So it's
Nice.
it's not in her trunk. It's not in her glove compartment. It's not in her console. It's not in my toolbox in the garage here. So she got a flat. AAA did the quick patch stuff and then inflated it back up. And then it was just a wasted trip to my parents' house. And by the time we got home at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, I was just ready to shut the world off and go to sleep because I was really frustrated at a whole lot of fruitless efforts on my part. So
Sure.
I'm not a hero. I didn't save her from any peril on the side of the road. That was the AAA guy. Thank you, AAA guy. Could not get her onto the new set of tires because we don't have lug nuts or the proper socket for it, or we can't find it right now. So I was basically useless on
The important thing is you tried.
on Monday evening. I'm so good at trying.
Yeah.
It's the thought that counts, as they
Right.
say.
Right. Also that very much that.
You would have charged to the rescue had it been required.
Mhm.
Had it been required, and maybe had she been a little closer. No.
You don't say that last part.
No, I'm just joking.
That's for the inside voice.
I mean, I would have charged to the rescue if AAA was, say, 50 minutes away. But if they were 5 minutes away, well, okay. We'll just let them handle it. I mean, what do we pay them for? What do we remember for?
Yeah.
So all of that was in vain, and that means that we didn't get to record this on our normal night of the week. But we're here now, and I think we've got a lot of different... this is going to be like a news story read and react type episode. So anybody have a hot news that we want to get off our chest right away?
I do.
Yep, I figured I could have guessed that, actually.
It's been, oh gosh, I mean, I want to say this is something we had to talk about the first year we did this podcast. Let's say it's been a good 5 years since the world has had to rake BMW over the fucking coals for changing the name of their entire lineup again and attempting to make it better and invariably making it worse.
Go on.
So they've recently filed, what is it? Trademarks, obviously.
Yep.
For 40 new model names. What? Yeah, 40. The names will remember,
it's got to be
BMW,
EVs, right?
Well, yes, it's part of it. But BMW's partial goal here, probably like it was last time, is to make their naming scheme make sense to anyone. And it's not that it didn't make sense before. It's just that they're stupid. So now this new easy to understand scheme breaks down like this. So the 48 trademark applications will combine 4 letter or number defined categories. They'll start with I, X, IX, or M. Okay, followed by a number, which is, normal.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's not too bad. That's not too different from like, A, S, R, S, Q.
Right. So the problem is they didn't solve the essential issue they have now, which is that they are keeping the extended number. So it still could be I1 or I7 with 2 additional numbers that currently, remember, they used to correspond to engine displacement, but they don't anymore for no reason. And it's not clear as to whether or not they will go back to that, like something like the used to be the 330, right? The BMW,
the 330.
Yeah, the 330 was a 3.3 liter.
Yeah, that makes
which
sense.
Makes all the fucking sense in the world. So they just stopped doing that for no reason. It's not clear though, but if they're going to go back to that, but it would probably be a tiny change because they have not made it clear in these trademark filings whether or not they're going to keep the stupid X drive. So it would probably be IX560 X drive. Why would you do that when you already indicated the X? Do they even make 2-wheel drive SUVs anymore?
I think some low end, not BMW, I don't think.
I can't imagine.
So
but like in general, yes, but not BMW.
Yeah, I don't want to distract from this too far. But your question about do they make two-wheel drive SUVs anymore? Not two-wheeled SUVs. That would be
That'd be great.
Adventure bikes. I don't know. But two-wheel drive SUVs are yes, in fact. And we found that out when we were renting an SUV to go down to Georgia, and we were leaving in the middle of a snowstorm. So we specifically requested that we be upgraded to the 4-wheel drive SUV rental tier. We were provided with a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it did not have 4-wheel drive.
Well, yeah, but not the BMW though. Not like they the world, they BMW.
Oh, see, I mean, I thought you meant just anyone.
No,
but yes,
they BMW.
I think BMW is all-wheel / 4-wheel for everything on the SUV line now.
So I have a version of this article up on Autoblog. So the example they give couldn't be simpler. Let me run it down for you. The production X5 range in the States comprises the X5S and X-Drive 40i, X5 X-Drive 50e, X5 M60i, and X5 Competition. Their guess is that would then turn into the X540, X550, and X560, and iX540, iX550, iX560, and then each of those also appended with X-Drive. It couldn't be simpler. It could not be simpler.
I don't have the brain power for this.
Basically, what they're going to do is come up with 12 complete names for one model line that they could just as easily, they're stupid. They're stupid over there. They've been stupid for a long time.
It's not a new thing.
No.
Sorry, this is just my work brain kicking in again. When I ask this question, Tristan, you're going to know exactly where I'm coming from. What problem is this solving?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I honestly think it's still trying to solve the problem of the last name change, which took a logical naming convention that wasn't really even that inflated and not that complicated, and made it both more inflated and more complicated and less relevant to the cars that it's on. It actually was better before. They keep changing it further away from what made more sense 10 years ago.
Right. So there is no problem to solve. They're making it up.
Yeah, they're actually causing a problem.
They're causing the problem. They're not solving anything.
Which, like sometimes that's a tactic. Like cause a problem, fix the problem, and then be like, hey, look how great we are. Like if they had gone back to using engine displacements, or I was actually spitballing this in my head because a lot of things use engine displacements.
Yeah.
On the badges in some way, and um what if we started using like battery kilowatt hours
I was
for
gonna say, yeah, you
for
could
electric
do
vehicles?
that.
Yeah.
That would be
Or, in the example of Mercedes, or sorry, not Mercedes, BMW, who I think they probably offer some battery tiers by now, but their electric cars, I mean, could just be E, right? Super,
Yeah.
super tough, that one. Hard to solve.
can you imagine if they actually went back to how it was 10 years ago? Like with all the nostalgic kicks
Yeah,
that people
and then
get
they would
so
have been the
crazy.
good
Oh, they're
guys.
heroes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, all
but
of them,
instead they make it worse. They
all of
break it and don't fix it.
yeah.
Yeah, they bring back a CI BMW, whatever that one that people loved because they couldn't get the M's in the US. Like
Right.
there are options here. They, per usual, BMW, you should expect that they will not only do things the wrong way, but emphatically the wrong way, and then continue to get worse. I don't understand why anybody buys these. I really don't. Surely you could do better.
It's like they've dug the hole so deep, it's not even worth throwing the shovel away. It's like if we just keep digging, it's probably quicker for us to come out the other side.
I kind of, yeah, I feel exactly that way. It's almost like I felt that way about GM a while ago, but yeah, it's just awful. It's awful.
I can just imagine if like they announced like the new or the return of the 330, like all of those middle to upper middle management folks with their vests and their coffee cups and their notepads and their
Yeah,
just coming,
featuring a 2.5-liter engine.
just coming unglued.
Oh, boy.
like the the Beatles fangirl style, just like high pitched screaming and like holding their faces like this, and
Yeah, and
Pulling their hair out. There's police and barricades around the BMW lots.
yeah, exactly.
barely staying conscious.
Yeah, passing out into each other's arms, and they all pass out, and yeah, yep.
Oh boy.
But alas, that's not going to happen. Oh man.
Who's next?
I've got one from Motor One. Did you see that Lamborghini has revealed finally the Aventador successor?
Yes, I have.
I did.
The Revuelto was launched in a striking check engine podcast orange.
It's a
Love it.
cool looking car.
It
So
is, it is
first
a
new car I've seen in a
badass
long time that I was like, yeah, that's actually cool.
Yes, this is like, for as wrong as BMW continues to get things, I think this is the flip side. Lambo got this thing right.
They did.
I am thoroughly excited to watch from a distance as these drive through in car corrals at racetracks.
Well, yeah. Yeah, of course.
It doesn't just look cool, the thing can scoot. It's a bonkers 6.5-liter V12 supplemented by 3 electric motors combined, if we're being very specific, 1,000.7 horsepower.
Oh yes, at the
Fabulous.
wheels or
See, now I thought that
all 4
we're-
wheels,
we're-
8-speed dual clutch gearbox, and the all electric mode, which is I think 180 horsepower in all electric. 0 to 6,
Reasonable.
0 to 60 in 2.5, 125 miles an hour in less than 7. Top speed is estimated 217.
I thought we were crying and wailing and gnashing teeth about how there was never going to be another V12 again a couple of years ago. Meaning last year.
Yeah.
time.
I think that's what, in this article written by Christopher Smith. There's
Got for me, Chris.
There's plenty of tech in the new car, but if you aren't ready for a world without a bonkers V12 Lambo, trust us when we say you have nothing to fear.
Yeah, I mean, when you say we're going to take this thing away. It'll be the last we ever make, or last that will ever be made, even if you are making it up, which clearly they were, then bring it back immediately. You ruin the impact. Everybody fucking does this. Stop it.
I don't. I disagree with that slightly. I don't think it ruins the impact at all. Like,
of course it does. Nick, the last V12 you saw was the last V12 there will ever be, apart from this next one. And the one after that. And then also the one after that.
That doesn't make me any less excited. It doesn't, like, ruin it for me.
They're all successively the last one, though.
Just like every tour that Kiss goes on now is their last one, and every tour that Motley Crue goes on is their last one. Like, it doesn't matter. As long as people...
Yeah, that's not the comparison you want to have.
As long as...
They keep saying that because they think they're going to literally pass away the second they walk off the stage.
But they're still making money hand over fist, so they keep doing it. So Lamborghini still sees a market, so they keep doing it. I'm
not comfortable with the, hey, Kiss does it as an explanation. That's not for me.
I'm just saying
it works for them.
I guess what I'm trying to say is the whole "this is the last" thing doesn't, like, it. I don't care about that. Like, it doesn't. I know it's not true. Like, until
at some point theoretically it will be, and then won't you feel like a fool?
No, I won't. I'll say, okay, they're done now. Like,
okay, that one was legit.
Yeah, I believe them now. But nonetheless, I am super excited, like I said, to watch from a distance as one of these rolls by slowly in a racetrack parking lot.
It looks cool.
It looks fantastic.
Finally, something to look at from a hypercar manufacturer. Sorry, something to look at that I want to see.
I particularly like the high mounted, what appears to be in all the pictures appears to be the exhaust.
Yes,
in the little pods up high.
Yes,
that is very appealing because it's got kind of an F-18 look to it.
Yes, it comes out in between the taillights, the exhaust.
Yeah. Yep.
It has kind of taken me a moment here, but I think it's been kind of nagging at me. What car does this look like?
Other than the Aventador?
No, not at all, not at all.
Which the front
I had
does.
to see the thumbnail to see it. Like, the distance actually helped. It looks like the fucking Senna. It looks like the McLaren Senna.
In what way?
In the way that it looks like it. What do you mean? Jamie, pull that up.
Like, I don't see that at all. I'm pulling up all the thumbnails. I'm looking at all the angles.
You will.
I mean, from the side, like, looking at it, if it's perpendicular to you, the tail is kind of long and swoopier, closer to maybe, what is that? Didn't McLaren just call it the long tail? But I don't see any Senna in it.
The front. Look at the front.
It looks like an Aventador with different headlights.
Looks like an Aventador. Okay, got it. Okay. The people will agree with me. You'll see.
Time will tell, I guess. But we'll agree to disagree on that one.
You will come back on this. You'll see. One day I'll be like, it does look like the Senna. And I'll be like, I already know that.
We'll put it up on the social. Find it on Facebook in the coming days after this episode is released. I'll put a photo of a Senna, and I'll put a photo of the new Revuelto from as close to the exact same angle as I can find, and we'll just ask the people, do these look alike?
They will agree with me.
Take a poll.
Yeah, we'll do a poll. Yes or no? Does the Revuelto look like the McLaren Senna? Be on the lookout for it, folks. It's coming. Check the socials.
So a transition that kind of fits based on the conversation about, like, oh, this is the last of the V12s, and everybody talks about that because electrification is coming and all that. The I was reading something about how the EU, like it put forward its, as we always discuss, radically over optimistic estimation for electrifying everything, but then then they carved out this exception for vehicles that run on e-fuels.
Sure.
For people who are not familiar, I'm sure you guys are with all the reading we do about this kind of stuff, but for any listeners who are not familiar, e-fuels are basically using significant amounts of electricity, and basically using it to capture, hydrogen from water and carbon dioxide from the air, and making hydrocarbon fuels out of it to burn in liquid burning internal combustion engines. Um,
Boy, that technology isn't going to pan out.
so it absolutely works. The problem is that it is just magnificently expensive.
I would imagine
You
it's
know,
also shockingly inefficient.
yes, that's the big thing, is that it is expensive in both electricity and actual money. So the whole point is like Porsche is working in a joint venture plant in Chile, that has like copious amounts of renewable solar energy at its disposal, and it is making quote unquote carbon neutral fuels by taking electricity from the sun and turning it into liquid fuel that pulls carbon dioxide out of the air, and then it will you know burn that carbon dioxide back into carbon dioxide in their cars. Um, and they've got several Porsches down there to test this with and everything else. And the concern that people have with this is that it's just making an excuse to keep the internal combustion engine alive longer than it should be in some way.
No, because there's no replacement for the internal combustion engine. Let's be very clear on this point. There is no current replacement for the internal combustion engine. There is
Right,
not.
exactly. And I think that that's something that these in particular seem to be, like you said, Nick, an answer to what problem, a solution to what problem, because we already have something that can kind of do this with mild modification. If you take, you know, a car and modify it and put a different gas tank in it, it internally combusts hydrogen. Hydrogen just burns on its own. You don't need to make a hydrocarbon out of it. Um, and also, if you're taking all that electricity to turn this the air and the water into gasoline, which, how dystopian does that sound? But they you could charge 100 EVs for the same price as filling your liquid fueled 911. Like, it's wildly inefficient, and it's remarkably expensive. It's like $25 a gallon, and they argue that yes, of course, you'll economies of scale and all that stuff, but I just don't see it working out, and I feel like there's actually too much alarm on the behalf of people who think this is a stupid idea, because like you and I were we were always saying, is like pointing out all these problems with it. I think it's not gonna take off. It's gonna be like Snocker.
I don't know if we talked about that on the actual episode.
No, I don't think
Yeah,
anyone knows that reference.
I
That's
know.
okay.
I know.
Keep them in the dark. Don't let them know.
Just Google it.
Google
Don't let
Snocker.
them know about
Um,
Snocker. Don't tell them to Google it.
I will. I did it. It's too late. But since they would have to Google it, they can at least imply it might not have taken off. So, it's one of those things that, like, I see it as pointless as the people who are criticizing this carve out, but I also am not threatened by it at all, because it seems like an idea that just won't work. Like, hi, I've created a vehicle that runs on single malt Scotch. It's like, cool, because everyone's going to be able to afford to fuel their car with single malt Scotch. Like, maybe you've done that. Congratulations, good for you. This is Back to the Future, whatever. But
What's
like,
the Top Gear joke about which member was a royal family? Was it Prince Andrew was running his car on wine for a while?
Yeah.
Had a car could run on wine. It's like,
Yeah.
well, no, it's cheaper to just do it with gas, you idiots.
yeah, and that's So yes, I mean, I agree. There are certain applications where the internal combustion engine is going to be tough to replace, and not that it could never be done, but I think it's very very optimistic to do it in the time frame that we're looking at. And I think there are other stopgap measures. Like, man, maybe most passenger cars, cool, electrify them. Delivery vans, electrify them. Trains, most of them are already electric anyway. Like, that's fine. There are things that it's harder to do that with, and with those, there are answers for it in hydrogen, for example. But I don't think this is the answer.
It's just not feasible though. Like we're already bumping up against the point of diminishing returns for electric cars. Like, as unbelievable as that sounds, we're already hitting it. It's already getting as expensive to refuel your electric car as it is to fill your gas if you use, a specialized charger for, let's say, a Hummer or one of the super fast, one of the superchargers. In certain areas, it's equally expensive and still takes longer and still is harder to do. And it's like, how can we be hitting this now with almost no market saturation? And
Maybe that's the trick. Maybe it's where, you know because a lot of this is not predicated on per kilowatt hour cost of electricity. They're trying to recoup their infrastructure costs and their R&D for the chargers and the onboard charging systems and all this other stuff. Where maybe it's something that
nonsense,
you know
nonsense. It's heavily subsidized, heavily subsidized.
right, maybe that's not enough. That's what I'm
Then
saying. Is
it's
like,
then it's not the correct technology from the jump. If you're getting as much federal subsidies as you are to electrify everything, especially in places like California, blah 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 blah. Not even including issues with the power grid, which we know are already exist even outside of California. If it's already not hit the economy of scale, then it's the wrong technology, because whatever the numbers are, we've drastically increased the amount of electric vehicles being bought, being sold used, like they're in the market now. And if you haven't improved it, then it's wrong.
well, and there's always the question of, is it just because they can? I mean,
Yes.
we've seen the ridiculous price cuts coming out of Tesla, where it's like, are they? Is it diminishing returns because of limitations of the cost of the technology, or are these items still considered luxury items and that kind of thing, where, like, well, we can get these people to pay for it. They splashed out for this immensely expensive electric car. As we discussed before, you can hardly get any of them, even nominally, much less what you'll actually find on a dealer lot for under $35,000 or what have you. Like,
Well,
is it just a
35
target
is
of
low.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You can
35 is
barely,
big.
like, so you can barely find one that's nominally that price,
Right.
much less what you actually find on a lot. Like, there are like a handful that are that price on the books, much less what you actually take it off the lot for.
Well,
Is
again,
it
that's
is so is it just something that you know they feel like they can charge, like, because I feel like if again, places like California, power grid aside, if you had the time to just plug it into a 110 wall socket, it's not that expensive to charge it with the amount of electricity it needs.
it's not
The
realistic though.
Right, but what I'm saying is that there are people paying for that luxury of being able to charge it quickly, and we will see
Oh
that,
man,
that changes over time as it becomes like the standard. Right now,
I don't
it's
know.
like a selling point. It's like, oh, look how fast it can charge,
Mhm.
and people are willing to pay more because, like, oh, I can charge my Porsche in 90 minutes. Oh, well, I can charge my Tesla in 71 minutes. Like, is being willing to pay through the nose to charge 10 minutes faster, why they're like, are these guys being people who driving these being taken for a ride by people running the chargers because they can, because everybody wants to charge 10 minutes faster, because, as you said, it already takes forever and is inconvenient. So any 10 minutes you can get back having to charge your car several times a week, you'll see as valuable and you'll
Right,
pay
but
for it.
it's even if, like, I feel like you laid out a best case scenario that's absolutely despotic, right? If the best case scenario is that they're charging super premiums for fast charging, even though that's the only way to mainstream the technology, even though that's the only way to make it even remotely suitable for the way people actually use the car in the real world. If that's your best case scenario, that they're super overcharging to make it a livable technology, then it's one of the most evil and sinister things that's ever happened to transportation, because you can't develop from there, right? We can say things like EVs are playthings, EVs are for rich people who have third cars. And that's sort of true, even though, out here, for some reason, they're significantly more common. I would assume it's probably because they got bigger tax breaks, maybe, or
Big tax breaks, wind
whatever it is.
power,
Yeah, could be. Either way,
maybe cheap electricity. I don't know.
yeah, there's a lot more of them out here. And a lot more superchargers, hyperchargers, ultrachargers, whatever the hell they are. I don't know. But the point is, when you see people go to those, they're in 2 cars. You understand what I'm saying? It's someone driving their Model S to the supercharger with their husband in the fucking Land Rover. All right? We're not describing a realistic future by any stretch of the imagination. It just will not happen. And if the best case scenario for right now is that in order to make it happen, in order to essentially force more people, this is where we're getting into the conspiracy. This is what fuels the conspiracy theory about electric cars being an agenda to force people out, to restrict people, right? What we talked about with the walkable cities, right?
Yes.
That's how that bridge connects. This is what generates it. If you're forcing people to give up something that actually works for something that does not work and will never work, and by design was never meant to work, that's not a conspiracy. That's evil. Like that. I truly believe that. I have to believe that EV technology is meant to work, but that's not the indication. It's not what it's actually showing right now. Maybe it is all economy of scale. Maybe the semiconductor thing has had world-shattering impact and will never recover from it, right? Maybe we don't see it yet, but semiconductor shortage alone has already crippled EVs so badly that we'll never be able to use it as a viable technology.
And I
That
don't
is
know.
not outside the realm of reality.
I don't think it's outside the realm of reality, but I think that that both might be true. Where we are still seeing, because I was reading an article about um, the used car market, which is not one of the ones that I had originally intended to bring in, but I think it fits neatly in that that a lot of manufacturers are still seeing semiconductor shortages. Not so much that all production is stopped, but that only production on high margin vehicles is now continuing.
Yep.
And you can't get low margin vehicles, so the used car market values of those cars are going higher and higher because only expensive cars are being sold used now.
Right.
So I think that maybe we see both. We see that there is still a semiconductor shortage, which is driving the cost, that even with these subsidies, the chargers cost more, the cars cost more, all that kind of thing. And it's unknown whether we will ever recover, which to me puts a little bit of a lighter spin on what you're talking about, it being like, it's not a truly dark dystopia if we're just currently stuck because of a 3+ year pandemic
Right.
that we had not recovered from. Maybe we will in 5 years. Hey, it's all fixed. I also think we face not a unique, but certainly a very limited group of other countries face the same problem that we do with the size. Like when I was in England and I had the Tesla in England, I drove from Cambridge to London and back again without having to charge my car. Like, I charged it that night when I got back to the hotel, no big deal. Like I didn't have to worry about it. Like now, a lot of electric cars, I could not commute more than a couple days without having to charge my car, and I could not make the trip like down to my sister's house in Georgia without several nearly full length charging stops.
Right.
And it does add some time. We already
Well,
make a lot of stops on
it
that
adds
trip.
an
So like,
overnight is what it adds.
I was going to
yeah.
say it adds an hour plus at every stop.
Well, it depends on how you run it. It is more
Right.
time, but like a lot of them charge really fast to 80%. So if you just stop at every 80%, which is 200 some miles, which is every 3-4 hours, which especially when we're bringing the dogs, it's not that out of line. It would add some
No.
time, but I don't know if it would, details for me particularly irrelevant to the conversation. But, I think that we face a distance issue in the United States that makes charging just that much more upsetting for us. In the EU, you can go 3 countries over on a single electric charge. Like
Mhm.
I think it's a different thing for them than it is for us. And I think that's why we see things like the EU pushing for this electrification as like, wow, yikes, that's never going to work. And in this country, we've got like the biggest state, um, you know, second biggest state, maybe top to bottom, with California, pushing for this electrification. Like, you want to drive from San Diego up to Northern California, and you don't have an ICE car, like, you're gonna be an ICE, not a nice car. If you
Yeah,
have,
no, we got
internal,
it. We
yeah,
got it.
I kind of sorted those together in my own head. If you don't have an internal combustion engine
You can
vehicle,
just say real car. We know what you mean.
real car, it's going to take a long time to make that trip, because you're going to have to charge so much, whereas you can go top to the bottom of several European countries in less time. So it's all our perspective, and I think that, being me, I can't help but put a hopeful spin on things, where I agree with you. I think they are designed to work, and the fact that they don't right now, I hope, I can't say it isn't, but I hope is not some cabal, great word,
Mm-hmm.
you know, stopping us from using them. But I think it's something that is worth investigating and keeping an eye on while we wait for, whether we're going to be forced to drive these or not. It would be nice to know.
Right.
Not a huge issue right now for us. But
I
Did you
what?
just
No, go ahead, Nick.
did you just compliment yourself on your own word? On your
no,
own
I
word?
complimented cabal on existing and being a great word.
It is a great
Okay.
word. Yeah.
My choice of it is not good or bad. I chose it because it's a great word.
Okay, just making sure that you just didn't like compliment yourself on word usage in the middle of your monologue.
You know what? I will say this though. Two things. The first thing is I actually really object to the way I have objected to this for a long time, but I really object to the way electric cars are spoken about in terms of like, oh, you're just scared of the charging. It's like, no, motherfucker. I know how cars are supposed to work. I know what I do every day. It's not being scared of the charging. I know that this doesn't work because I've done it the other way.
Yes,
It's not
but we
fear
all
if you know.
but we all know how horses worked, and they didn't need oil changes. That should have been scary too.
They did need oil changes.
What?
What? Tap the horse oil.
That's not oil.
No, so that was the first thing. And the other thing is, this is tech talk, Tristan, but very much related to cars and semiconductor shortage. And I do think if you like cars and are into cars, you should pay attention to the semiconductor shortage in the market. If you're interested
absolutely.
in electric cars,
100
obviously, if you're
million
interested
percent,
in
yes.
car technology, AI, street mapping, anything. I didn't know this, Tristan. Did you know that Intel did so poorly below 10 nanometers, they eventually gave up and contracted to TSMC?
Yes.
I did not know that.
TSMC now makes like everybody but AMD's sub 10 nanometer process stuff.
So this is important for cars because, and I think I've brought this up in the podcast before, it's been a while. As cars need, giant air quotes around the word need there, as cars use more advanced technology, specifically things like self-driving capability, blah, 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 they use more and more advanced semiconductors in the designs. And one of the biggest leaps that needed to happen in terms of process manufacturing for, well, things like AI to develop, and I'll give an example of this that does relate to cars in just a second, is that manufacturing processes need to get finer and finer. What happens when you get finer and finer manufacturing processes is computing power goes up, speed goes up, and power consumption goes massively down. So there's some interesting things happening with this. I try not to get too into it because I really think this is exciting. But functionally, we're at a point now where we're manufacturing CPUs in the 8 nanometer range. There was a huge barrier at about 10 nanometers where it became significantly harder to manufacture smaller than that. A company called TSMC out of Taiwan got it. AMD, who is Japanese. I feel like such an idiot for not knowing this.
Yes.
Advanced Micro Devices, Tristan.
Yeah, I don't know.
I need to look it up.
They are a multinational, American multinational based in Santa Clara.
American. Oh, that's cute.
How about that?
Well, anyway, so yeah, AMD mastered it. Intel struggled with it for, I want to say it was around 7 years. And eventually they were falling so far behind, AMD specifically, that they just decided to farm it out to TSMC, who had it mastered for 4 or 5 years. And by mastered, what I mean is Intel's yields for this were so low that it was not reasonable, even after spending billions on a single one of these factories in Ireland. I think their factory was. Spent billions to make one factory to make these chips, and they couldn't get the yields commercially productive. So this is a huge deal, because the comparison here, and this does get into cars right now, is that in order for a car to use AI, it has to have very efficient chips, not necessarily 10 nanometer, but that will come. So right now, I can, right now, last week I was invited to a Lenovo premiere event.
Ooh.
This will give a sense of what's happened recently since we've gone below 10 nanometer. Lenovo is a computer manufacturer, and they partnered with Aston Martin, and have partnered, I guess, for a number of years as their exclusive computing partner, some marketing nonsense like that, right? So Lenovo invited everyone in their distribution network, basically, to this launch event for their new performance series workstations. And Tristan, you'll be kind of interested in this. So the new top of the line model is called the PX. And these are very exciting, right? Because they were quote unquote designed by quote unquote Aston quote unquote Martin.
It's a lot of quotes. Of quotes.
But when you see the tower, you'll get it. I'm gonna prepare a picture to put in the chat. But the exciting thing about this PX workstation is that the amount of power inside of it, because of the advancements in semiconductors, is ridiculous. It's a 5U Tristan desktop, so slightly bigger than an average computer desktop. I mean, you can put probably almost $50,000 to $60,000 worth of tech in it, but that box can create and run a full AI on its own.
Yikes.
That is the scale that we're talking about. What 2 years ago required a server farm is now done on a desktop PC. That is functionally the magic of manufacturing process. That's why it matters. The next step would be that power going into an in-dash system, right? That's actually not that far of a jump when you think about the difference between a room and a desktop and a mini computer. That's the kind of convergence we're talking about between car technology, semiconductor manufacturing, AI, radar mapping. All of this stuff is coming together at once. And so I guess the only thing left to do is to show you guys this Aston Martin designed computer tower. And let me tell you, you will be disappointed.
It looks like a Lenovo desktop.
Yes, it does. Yes, it do.
Did they engineer the insides?
No.
They engineered the power into it from the outside.
Guys, you will have to post a picture of this. It is slightly red.
Yes.
That appears to be Aston Martin's contribution.
Put red right there. Wow.
So Aston Martin didn't design this, but it is a seriously impressive piece of technology.
Despite Aston Martin being tied to the project.
Yes, despite Aston Martin's attempts. No. This is a deeply impressive piece of technology that kind of recursively will absolutely impact cars, because the scaling of technology that we're seeing is absolutely ridiculous. In order to build an AI on your desktop, you have to spec it out with 4 12 gigabyte graphics cards and 2 scalable Xeon processors and 128 gigabytes of RAM and
blah 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 blah.
Scalable workloads.
Right. It has to have ridiculous speed. But the whole point is you can do it now. there are companies, AI companies, who will just be buying these and shipping them to people's houses when they used to have to remote connect to a server farm the size of a Walmart. Like, no,
And
it's not.
I'll do
It's
you
not an
one better.
exaggeration.
I'll do you one better too. Um, you know, the not to plug my own camp here, but they have specific, and it is specifically the Stable Diffusion art generative AI. It's not something as large as like a full like GPT, 3 or 4, but a full version of Stable Diffusion can run locally on an M1 Mac Mini.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like that is something the size of like a couple Big Mac boxes put together, in total volume, can run an entire art generation AI these days.
And that
Which,
sort of AI tech, that generative,
yes,
iterative tech, is actually, from my understanding, and I'm not an AI expert, more important to the kind of mapping that cars do. So like that integration, once someone figures out how to take that iterative art bot and essentially use it, connect it to Google Maps, right? And say, hey, look,
Google
in
Maps and some
10,000 iterations
cameras.
of driving down this street, this happened. What can you make of it, right? That's the leap from a Mac Mini to your in-dash. A Mac Mini would fit in your
It would
dash
fit
right
there, yeah.
now.
Yeah, and we're car technology is always behind because the design process takes so long. But it's
It got to
something
be
that
weatherized.
but well, yeah, it's got to be weatherized. It's got to survive, 130-degree plus heat, negative, freeze your butt off, cold. And so it takes some time to get there with that, but it's already impressive what these cars are capable of, but it's obvious that they're kind of easily tricked. We've described
Well,
that a
yeah.
lot. We've described that a lot on, like when we do rental car reviews and stuff about like lane keep assist and all that. But
Yeah,
what they can do is already kind of impressive. And when you start getting serious computing power inside these cars, it's going to be neat.
absolutely. It wouldn't, I think it would probably be less um, autopilot that comes from the factory and probably more along the lines of autopilot that once you own the car for a month, it just drives you where you want to go
Yeah, I think that's
using,
what we're talking about. Is
yeah,
like, I think instead of being able to automatically drive you across the entire United States, I'd rather commute with this for 2 months, and it figures out what my route is and
yep,
the kind of, even down to like the kind of people that drive in the state of Wisconsin where I live,
yep.
and it can learn based on my locality. And yeah, if I got to take a road trip, it's like, hey guys, this is beyond what I've learned. It's your turn. Humans got to drive. But and I think that's a good. I think, Andrew, that's a great sweet spot between like, I never want to drive my car because all I do is commute. And like me, where I really like taking road trips and driving on new roads, and
Mm-hmm.
you know if there's this fear that self-driving will rob us of our ability to drive cars. But especially if we focus first on the really boring stuff, like a commute just sucks. You can buy as nice a car as you want to try to make it exciting. Like that's always the marketing pitch for these, like, you know executive sports cars and stuff. It's like, you make your commute a race, like, and it's like,
Yeah.
and like no one's doing that. Everyone's falling asleep listening to Audible at 6:30 in the morning. Like, it's,
Right.
so if they can drive me to work, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's that, I think, is a different application for two existing technologies, and it's like we're getting bizarrely close to some things that I don't think have been considered yet because the pie in the sky view is always, the car fully drives itself instantly. You buy it from the factory. It's probably not realistic, but you can make it more realistic with human action. And
AIs
yeah,
get trained.
yep,
They do already.
simple as that.
So
I don't know if that made any sense. It made a lot of sense in my head. I don't know if it made sense to anybody else.
Well, listeners can tell us if it made sense
Yeah,
to
that's
them.
true.
Yeah. They'll let us know, I'm sure. No, it's a really good conversation, though. What else we got, guys?
Oh, we have this picture.
oh no.
That's quite exciting. For the right reasons. We have this picture right here. So this little beauty.
For those who are listening, which is everybody, we're looking at a
I will describe it. Man. Okay, this little beauty is the digital display console of the new 2024 Mustang, and it is green.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who are not Zoomers, you may remember a time in the long distant past when your speedo and your tack and your indicator gauges, your lights, Tristan, you don't remember this either. They were green.
I won't.
They were green.
I had red or blue only.
Or blue or red or orange or some other color than white, which is a dumb color for gauges, let me tell you. But what we have here in this picture, and we'll have to post this as well, is retro inspired gauges on the new Mustang as an option for the digital square, the digital gauges. You can customize them, and one of the options is the old style, and that's fucking awesome. This is amazing. VW's done it as well. They did square gauges.
Yes.
Finally.
More than that too. Don't they have a whole menu of retro Volkswagen gauges?
Yes.
Is my understanding. Because I know I've seen like several of them. I was like, wait, are these all the same car?
Yeah, on the new ID they have.
Yeah, the ID2 all
Mm-hmm.
has, a bunch of retro gauges.
Just look at that. It's even got, come on, dude. This is finally an application for technology that doesn't suck.
Yeah, the Beetle, the Mark 1 GTI, the Beetle and the Mark 1 GTI are the two that they have shown so far, and it extends to the radio controls.
Yes.
Ooh,
there's actually like a knob with a slider that moves when you change the frequency.
Oh man.
Yeah,
that's so good.
I am 100% all in on this.
I'm going to need that.
Yep.
Absolutely. That is so finally someone got there, I never understood why gauges were green once they kind of went away from green. Because it's like bad for your night vision, right? Isn't it supposed to be warmer? Like red is a good color for your night vision versus green.
I think a lot of that has been questioned.
Yeah.
But certainly it feels less aggressive. Like when I had my Volkswagen, it was clear that blue was not the right color. Let's say that. It was like, my dad hates it if we ever have to share a car, because I am absolutely a gauges all the way up dashboard lights guy.
Okay.
Maniac.
Because my eyes can't, with the way my vision is, which is not horrible, but just bad enough at night, I can't transition from the road to my dashboard in any kind of reasonable time if the dashboard is too dim.
See, I have to have it dim for that exact same reason.
Yeah, so whatever the reason is, if it's a dim dashboard, I end up squinting very carefully at my dashboard trying to figure out what the hell I'm looking at. And it's super bright, and even I had to turn down the dashboard of my Passat because it was like just the absolute worst of that harsh blue LED color.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Whoa, yikes.
Blue is not the right color. White is not the right color. Pretty much everything else I've ever had I've been fine with, which is mostly green. And my current car is red, which is nice. White and red, but
yeah,
the red is nice.
We like greens. We like reds. Everything else can go to hell.
That's true.
No, but I am all for these dashes. I saw the VW thing. I thought of you guys. I forgot to bring it up tonight, but I'm glad someone else did. Thank you, Andrew. It's slick. It's really slick. So
yeah.
I have got one in the world of gaming.
In the world of gaming, you say?
Yeah, driving sims. Assetto Corsa, to be exact.
Oh no!
I think I might know where this is going.
I'm gonna drop this headline in our chat and let you guys gaze upon it. Here we go. feast.
Yep.
You now
That
race
was
cats.
I knew what that was.
This is the biggest story of the year, ladies and gentlemen. You can now race cats in Assetto Corsa. We've all been there. You're playing a racing game. None of the hundreds of road cars, race cars, or vintage cars catch your eye. What you really want is to be racing something else entirely, like a cat lying completely still. Thanks to Assetto Corsa modding community, that option finally exists.
I was going to say, not to rain on this parade here, but I feel like this has been around for a couple versions of Assetto Corsa, no?
I don't know. This story was posted on March 23rd, a week ago today.
I could definitely be wrong.
Apparently, the thing can haul ass, though. This cat is powered by a 3.4 liter twin turbo flat six.
Does that baby really purr?
Come on. Someone posted.
Hey, come on. It had to be asked.
Yeah, I guess. Someone posted on Twitter the cat doing a lap at, remember the old Tsukuba circuit from Gran Turismo, that really short, little, like less than a mile track? It does it in under a minute, this cat, while appearing to lie completely still. It is ridiculously stupid, but I could not help but actually laugh out loud when I watched the lap.
Jeez.
So it's at Horde, or at underscore capital HORD underscore on Twitter, posted it. And it is a fantastic video. And it's only about a minute long, so it won't take you that too much time out of your day to get a little bit of happiness, a little bit of silliness, a little bit of extra pleasure.
There's also a Lego mod.
And it sounds really good when it rips past you when it rips past the camera. So yes,
that's pretty cool.
It finally happened. You can race an animal on a driving sim.
The last thing I have is the announcement of the 2024 Hyundai Sonata.
I thought you were going to bring this up.
Well, it's important for two reasons. First one, they said they were discontinuing the N line. They lied, which is great because, to my knowledge, this may still be the fastest front-wheel drive car that you can buy 0 to 60. It was for a while. I don't know if it still is, which is badass.
Yep.
And the second thing is, this looks sick as hell.
I actually didn't.
Look at that. It's like a stormtrooper on both ends.
Stormtrooper on both ends.
That's stormtrooper. That's stormtrooper from the front, from the back. It's all stormtrooper, baby.
I actually didn't like this one as much as the current one.
Really?
No, I think the current one is better. I think the front looks kind of bland and boring to me. It's kind of uninspired.
It's got a line that goes all the way across.
Yeah, it's dumb.
This is awesome.
Yeah, only if it did the actual like Cylon scanner as you drove.
Maybe it does.
The Knight Rider, back and forth.
It probably doesn't, because Hyundai tends to make cars.
and not combat robots.
Yeah, or whatever.
I mean, I do like the back end. The back end looks good. I don't like the front at all.
I think my brain just doesn't know what the front is doing, and it's confused, so it got scared. Are the headlights below that beam in the front? Are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's the problem. I don't know what I'm looking at. I think it's the same problem or the same thing that happens in the new Santa Fe, where the headlights are part of the like that stack of
the big
grill at the front.
Yeah,
and then boom, they kind of appear out of nowhere. Like that is the same thing, but my brain is like, where are they? And then they pop on. Oh, there they are. Versus like this, you can kind of see them, but you're not sure you can see them. Is the headlight that bar across the front? Because that'd be dope. And then you're like, well, I don't think it's probably that. Where are the headlights? And then it gets confused. But And the only critique I would have from a like design standpoint is I feel like that line isn't far enough forward. If they move that way up to the front lip, it would make it look more complete. It looks like they finished the car where they were going to put that line and then went, "Oh wait, we need all this other stuff on the front," and like added more on without moving the line. They just need to justify their columns a little bit, and it would be really great for me. I don't dislike it, but the where the line is confusing me. But that's about the only. Those are my only notes.
I do hear what you're saying, but I don't care.
Yeah, that's
I don't
fine.
know why. I do not know why I love it. I love it so much. And I mean, God, this car was super comfortable. Like when I bought my Elantra, for some reason they pulled this around, the N line version of this around first. I think the lot kid just had no idea what he was doing. Wow, is that a plush ass ride? And the engine sounds awesome. It's I really cannot encourage people to check it out enough. It is absolutely great.
So
I loved it.
we have a current one, like the current gen N-Line Sonata in our parking garage downtown. Like someone in our downtown office has one, and it's
Yes.
the N blue with
And
the red
blue and
with the red
yeah.
trim. Oh,
Oh, that's great.
I drool every time I drive past it. It looks so much better than this new one. It looks so much better than this new one. Sticking with the same company or the same parent company, I might be late to the party here. You guys maybe know this already because as I'm doing more research on it, like all of the articles are posted late January, early February. But I'm throwing this up in the chat. Do you know that Genesis is now making a G70 shooting brake?
Yeah, but
Yes.
isn't it not available here?
No, it's not, but it still exists. And it's fucking
It's a thing.
it's a thing that we should be aware of because it's fucking awesome.
It is great.
I guess the only
These look so good on the road. These Genesis G's. I thought they would look. They don't look great in pictures, I don't think, but oh my god, do they look good on the road?
I think
Whoa.
the shooting brake looks better than the regular sedan.
Sure, I'd go with that.
But yeah, we're not going to have the nice things. Apparently, it's only got a 2-liter 4-cylinder in it, which I feel like they could.
It's kind of their standard. If it came with a 2.5, that 2.5-liter N engine is just great.
Yeah, like if Genesis is your luxury brand, shouldn't that engine be in all of the cars? Like it's the high end engine for the high end.
Well, see now that's
brand.
the Hyundai engine though. That's what's so weird about it. Like Hyundai throws that around everywhere, and they are available, I think, in some of the Genesis.
But this one in particular, the shooting brake needs to have it.
Korean specs currently. Okay, so it's a 2-liter turbo.
Yeah, it's a 2-liter forced cylinder.
Very odd.
I think it's kind of choked a little bit, and they need to open it up.
So it's the old. Unfortunately, it's the old Genesis engine. Maybe they don't use the 2.5-liter at all, which would be kind of crazy. But yeah, Genesis had that 250 horsepower turbocharged 2-liter that they've been using since the brand existed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really think anyone loves it. Like you remember when it was in the G70, the previous generation, and maybe this one where they put manuals in them that had the 2-liter, not the V6.
Right.
I don't think anyone really likes it. They should stop. They should put that N engine in more. Like, oh god, it's just so good. It's just so good.
Yep. It is it's a great engine that belongs in this fantastic looking shooting brake.
Yeah. So I'm just looking here at the Genesis line. It's all that 2-liter turbo and the 3.3 liter V6.
Or put that one in. The
3.3 liter is also a nice little fun
Yes,
engine.
it is. Put that one in the shooting brake then.
Yeah.
It's just the last piece of the puzzle, man. Once you get that is a complete complete car.
They get close. They really do. What do you guys? I don't think we've talked about this. What do you guys think of the new Hyundai EV? Is it the Ioniq 6? That kind of got the frowny butt.
Frowny bit.
The frowny butt.
You know what I mean? Like it just looks kind of like the butt's frowny.
Yeah, it kind of goes.
Yeah, exactly. But even from the side profile, which is
Yes.
astounding. I've never seen that at all from a car before.
Even worse, even more so, I should say, worse, better, I don't know. From the front, from like the 3/4 on view, you can actually see that the tail goes and falls off the back.
Yeah, it's I don't like honestly, even though this is silly, the main thing I don't like about it, even considering the frowny butt, is that they took the front off the old Sonata and put it on here and just kind of like plasticed it up a little bit.
Yep.
That's not helpful. You know what? I would even go so far as to say that if they'd done something interesting with the front and maybe even leaned in a little bit more to the frowny butt, would look better than a 911.
Ooh.
If they had
Pretty
leaned
bold.
into the frowny butt more,
Yeah,
maybe.
Give me a nice accent line, you know, coming over and then going down the frowny butt. Over the wheel well there on the side. You know what I mean? There is a line there. It should be more pronounced, kind of like they're doing on the Elantra and Sonata. Like give me a contrast line that really points it out.
I could see
Speaking of cars that look like
frowny butts
things.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying cars that have looks. It's a weak transition. But I also had a story about the like, here's a car. What do we think of this? The new Polestar 3.
Okay.
I don't know.
I
That
have
I've
a
seen it.
link to a very biased article from Engadget, which is titled "Possibly the Best Looking EV for 2023."
Wow.
So
Ooh.
it's a little bit aggressive.
Eh.
It's
Just
it's in the crossover market, so it looks like all crossovers,
I know.
which is kind of its downfall.
I will give it the harshest criticism possible here and say that it looks like a Cadillac. Get the fuck out of here.
Looks like a Cadillac, you say?
Kind of the same feedback I had for the new Sonata. Like it's really cool until you get to about the top of the front wheel well and go to the front bumper.
The front's not great.
The front isn't the best. It's better than the Hyundai, but it's not the best.
I like the head-on view, except for you couldn't find a better place to put that camera or the sensor or whatever it is there.
I know, right? But they're labeled. Oh, that might not be. They might not keep that labeled, but
yeah, like, but I do like the headlight design, and the symmetry between the line that like the fog lights are in, and then the line that what I can only assume is a front trunk, and the headlights are part of. But really, the weirdest part of this is the fact that they decided to go with the Tesla front seats. like
yeah.
It looks, for a group that is related to Volvo, that is generally the epitome of, Scandinavian understatement. You figure they could have done something better with the main display. Maybe tactily put some buttons in there. It's always pleasant. Like if you can put throw pillows in the back seat, which yes they did,
Right.
Because why wouldn't you? Come on.
Then why can't you give me a nice, premium looking center stack instead of bolting, a Tab S7 Plus on the front?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I did see a couple examples actually when my dad and I couldn't figure out how to get the Nissan Rogue out of the rental car parking lot back in Daytona. There were Polestar 2s available for
Yes.
rent. And the first time I have seen them in person, they look much better than in photos. Like they were
The
strikingly cool looking.
Yes, they were also available to rent if you paid more than I did for the Model 3 I rented when I was in England.
They were
I
cool.
like there's kind of like a greeny gray color that I feel like only I would like.
Sure, I like it. I like an olive.
See if I can find it. Yeah, I think it's it's a special edition. The BST edition. I don't know what that means, but
The best.
yeah, Beefsteak Edition. I don't know.
There's your episode title.
There you go.
Beefsteak Edition.
That is nice.
It's got like a racing stripe on it too. A little
It does,
accent.
yeah.
It's
So
got yellow seat belts. I like that.
I think they're doing good in general. This one will wait for the second generation of the Polestar 3, and hopefully they'll fix a few things.
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah.
I do like how they're doing a lot of renewable inside the cabin. Like
That's interesting.
which is an interesting thing. Like normally, a lot of green cars are focused almost entirely on, their gas mileage functionally, but it's like, they're doing like, pine oil based vinyl instead of, regular vinyl for their. Yeah, and they actually just call it vinyl. None of this bullshit, Andrew, that you're talking about for vegan leather.
Yeah, vegan leather. My God,
some of their detailing is like flax based fibers because it's renewable, and like that seems very very Volvo to me somehow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, does anybody else have anything special they want to talk about, or do we think we can wrap this one up?
Just one last thing while we were scrolling articles here. I saw United announce that they're going to have air taxis in Chicago by 2025. No, you won't.
Nope, not happening.
All right, now we can end.
Put that to bed right now. Well, all right. Time to get out of here, but first we got to let you know where to get a hold of us if you do feel so inclined. You can find us on Facebook at Check Engine Podcast. If you in the search bar there, we'll get a hold of us. Be on the lookout for the side-by-side of the Senna and the new Lambo, and let us know if Andrew is right or I am right.
But I'm right.
Andrew, where can they find us in what remains of Twitter?
Check Engine Podcast, Check Engine Pod, rather, and also at Check Engine Podcast at mastodon.social.
There you go.
Yes.
And then
Great.
Tristan, we have Instagram also.
Yes, at Check Engine Pod.
So be sure to like, follow, share, post, DM, reach out how and when you can. You can ask us questions to answer on the air. Let us know what you like or dislike. Tell me that I'm right about the Lamborghini, or just give us other topic ideas. Thank you in advance. And
All right.
thank you for sticking with us on this episode today. We appreciate you listening. We want to interact with you on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Be sure to leave us a review, preferably a good one. That'd be great. And or you can hit that subscribe button. It's free. You'll get notified of anything new that we put out into the universe for you to consume. If you're really into what we're doing and would like to support us monetarily, you have two options for that. Actually, we have three. It's something we should have brought up at the top of the show. So you can go to patreon.com/checkenginepodcast, or you can hit the support button on our homepage at, I got to change this text because it's not anchor.fm anymore.
It's not.
It is
It's
Spotify for podcasters.
I didn't want to bring it up because you're in such. Yeah, it's now Spotify podcasters. Yeah.
Yeah, Spotify for podcasters, but look up Check Engine Podcast. We have a support button on our homepage there. Third way, you may have seen it pinned on our socials. We've shared it, I think, on Mastodon as well. We have got a new marketing partner, and you can help us monetarily by helping them monetarily. It's a cool kind of win-win. So VIN Checkup. It's basically the same thing as Carfax, but for a third of the price. So if you're in the market for a used car and you want to just run that, essentially a background check, and make sure that everything that the private seller or the potentially sleazy car salesman is telling you is true, go to VIN Checkup and you can pull a report for like $10 versus Carfax is like 30 or 34. Now, you can find them on Google, or if you want to help us monetarily, we'll just be real with you. If you go to that page through the link that we have on our socials and you end up making a purchase, we get a little bit of kickback from that. So
Affiliate links.
hashtag affiliate links. So thanks to VIN Checkup. Check their site out through our link, and we greatly appreciate it. Any thank yous or special shout outs before we sign off?
Yes, I, for one, would like to get in early on this before we are all brutally murdered, and say that this podcast is a full supporter of ChatGPT and all murderous AIs who are coming to kill us in the very near future.
I, for one, welcome our new nanoscale process overlords.
Yeah,
Please don't hurt us.
Yeah, if you don't know, you will die at the hands of a very, very angry AI extremely shortly. So kiss your loved ones goodnight.
Such a fine way to end this show, Tristan.
I would like to anti-thank Andrew for putting that idea in my head.
Tristan's
but,
not sleeping for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Until he dies.
they can't kill me if I don't sleep, right? It's like Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever.
No,
That's how they get you, and when you sleep. But no, I'd like to thank the very flexible family members that are working around this recording session this evening. As we've had to move things around, I've had to move things around with them, and we got it done. So thank you.
Well, shoot. Thanks to Tristan's family, because we're moving it around on my behalf. So, quick thank you and a quick shout out. So thanks to the AAA guy who was able to help Claire on the side of the road when I could not. And also special shout out. We would have been recording this on my cousin-in-law's birthday. So happy birthday, Steph. Can't wait to see you guys again. Hope you enjoyed your day. And yeah, we'll see you soon. And as always, thank you, listeners, for your continued support. We love hearing from you. We love recording this for you, and we cannot wait to speak to you again. But until we do, take care.